पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम ब्रह्मानंदं परम सुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगन सदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasishtha, Utpatti Prakarana, and section number is 21. The highly mystical story of Leela and Padma. That story continues. And through that story, Sage Vasishtha brings out profound insight into the illusory nature of the world and the reality of the absolute self. But how to lead your mind to gain that state of enlightenment, that's what the project of scriptures, that's the project, that's the way sages and saints have given different ways of awakening that insight. Direct ways by the Upanishadic statements, Tattvamasi, thou art that. What are you doing here? Purnamadaha, that's full. Purnamidam, this also is full. So why fooling around? That's the direct teaching. It's very hard for people to have real purpose served. So therefore the teaching goes into intricate stories, fascinating the mind, and at the same time there is intermission in the story. In that intermission you give profound philosophy. And then you allow your mind to be tickled by events of the story. Let me just give you a simple summary of what has happened. King Padma was a very righteous king, and his wife was extremely devoted to him. Leela was her name. Padma means lotus. And Leela is sport, personality that doesn't carry tension, looks at everything as a joyous. That's what the whole world is called, Leela of God. Following this story, Leela was so devoted to her husband Padma that as time passed and she saw the aging symptoms coming in Padma's personality, she began to develop a special devotion to goddess Saraswati. Goddess Saraswati was her Devi, Ishtadevata. And while living with her husband and following everything the husband wanted and be completely keeping him happy, only one thing she didn't harmonize with him is when he was angry, she didn't become angry. That was the default in that relationship. And secretly she went on adoring goddess Saraswati. to such an extent that Goddess Saraswati appeared before her and granted her two boons. One boon was that Leela wanted that if her husband dies, which everybody has to die, if she dies early before her husband, there's no problem. But if he dies, she can't live without him. So, let his soul stay in the same palatial quarter where they lived their daily life. In brief, called Mandapakyan, Mandap. The palace's roofs were like a canopy. And we look up at the really wonderful pictures of deities, or flowers, whatever. Even in modern times, people have mandaps. So she asked that when he dies, his soul should not go away, but stay right there. They lived a fascinating life for a long time. But there comes a time when he was attacked by enemies. He was mortally injured, brought to the palace, and in the presence of Leela, he departed. A celestial voice told Leela that the spirit will come back to that body again. So cover the body with flowers, and the flowers will remain fresh. And Leela listened to it and did exactly as she was told. That was the voice of Goddess Saraswati, guided her. And in a very short while, as the day declined and night advanced, Leela began to miss her husband. And according to the boon, she could ask another boon. There was always a. So she invoked Saraswati Devi. And Saraswati Devi said that her husband is in a different plane. And you have to penetrate this plane of yours to go to her, to his. In brief, the storyline asks Leela to enter into deep meditation. And her subtle body was guided by Saraswati. She has the experience of going through so many glimpses of the world with mountains, rivers, and different planes, the whole drama she had to go through, until she finds a special place called Parvat Gram, where Saraswati and Leela both entered. Now let me switch my attention. Parvat Gram, not yet. She comes to a place. She and Saraswati, they are like have an aerial view. They watch. During this time that Leela had missed her husband, led by the karmic process, Padma's soul had become now another personality. And in that plane, he is already 16-year-old. And he has inherited a big kingdom. So he was in the royal palace as a king, successor to a great king. And there were all types of people around him. And Leela was shocked to see that many people of her place, at least their faces were looking exactly the same. And it came to her mind, is it possible that not only did her husband die, but many people also died by some calamity. At this stage, she was returned to her place, having seen the glimpse of what her husband was doing in another plane, already 16-year-old. Coming back, looking at the dead body before her, covered with flowers. Her heart filled with grief. And not only my husband has died, so many people have died. I don't know it. Immediately she gave the order to bring all those people that she wanted to have a kind of royal assembly even in the middle of the night, even during the night. All people gathered. And to her surprise, they were all intact. To a fascinating story, what you are being pointed out. Led by karma, birds of the same feather flock together. You find the same situation, same type of personalities, but not exactly identical. There were many new people also. So there, Yoga Bhaskara gives you an idea that how mind always looks for familiarity. You take a big trip, and then while looking at people, suddenly you see someone who reminds you of some of your friends, maybe your mother, your father, your brother, sister, that type of faces. And you become more drawn to them because their face looks like that. But behind that is karmic process. So after this experience, she invoked Goddess Saraswati and wanted to know the mystery of this. How only some hours have passed and he is 16-year-old, great king. Goddess Saraswati explains that time and space are not realities. You experience time and space according to the way your mind has been formed. Mind has been formed by karmic process. Each mind is a little bundle of thoughts. Each cloud is kind of humidity all collected. And each cloud refracts the sun in its own way. But that's, I'm putting a little distracted. The idea to understand that, led by karma, the soul experiences time, space, the world of time, space, and causation. And that is not something as a solid reality. The solid reality from ordinary, from relative point of view. From divine point of view, it is just like in your dream. Whole dream arises in the corner of your own room by lying in your bed, in the corner of the bed. Your body is lying there. Your spirit has gone into another plane. You have hardly slept for half an hour. You have gone into a world that has been fashioned millions of years. It's a stretch. And you are facing similar people, fighting with them, being friendly with them. and wake up, those people have not gone with you. And all that world didn't exist. But even your practical world has the same reality. You are experiencing this world through your mind and senses. And the main instrument of your experience is your brain and nervous system. Imagine, look at the brain. Go to a hospital and find the brain and nervous system. And look at how little centers in the brain create so much experience in your body. And that brain is the basis of all that you are experiencing. And something happens to that brain, all moves away. That's the type of world we live in. But you live in this world through ignorance. The reality remains intact. Mind can go on projecting all this. When you wake up from your dream, all the worms of your dream world don't come on your bed. You might have seen roaches and spiders, snakes. Wake up. Your bed is completely free. I'm joking. All things are written in here. At this stage, Goddess Saraswati gives a philosophical teaching to Leela. Goddess Saraswati continued, on opening the eyes, one becomes aware of all the forms. When you are in sleep, in dreaming, you wake up. Or in a simple way, if your eyes are completely closed, you are not seeing anything. Open the eyes and the world is there before you. That's what in Ramayana Lakshmana said to Parashuram. When very angry, say, just close your eyes. Nothing exists. But close your eyes, must understand, we are referring to allow your mind to become still. If you have that ability to let the mind become still, you have the ability, led by nature, you go into sleep. If you could capture it and make it your ability to bring yourself to the same state of quietness as you go into sleep, that's possible. That's called yoga. It's possible two ways. One, with effort. You go on training yourself, asana, pranayama, etc. Another, by understanding, jnana. This point will be made clear later. The first way is not secure. You may come to that level, but when you come out of that samadhi, you are again with the same type of mind. With understanding, as you go advance, the question of coming back does not arise. You will not. You will be in samadhi while with closed eyes as well as with open eyes. Your samadhi level will not be broken if you are in advanced level. That again should not give you too much difficulty in your mind. When you have a higher level of understanding, then even though your life moves on abruptly, that type of understanding stays with you. That's not distracted. A doctor, even though is very good, a skilled doctor, even though he may be very busy, etc., looking at a patient, he will give exact. So I'm just giving a simple illustration. The academic student has to go into many files to look for the symptoms and what are the medicines and call the Google to make a research. Skilled one, even though busy, even though doesn't have time, suddenly puts his finger, this is the right thing. This is an illustration to show same way, higher level of consciousness becomes a part of your natural life, natural daily life. You handle all things, but at the same time, a higher level is always there, your base. And that higher level is awareness, I am Brahman, that's the goal. Until the goal is reached, there are many stages. Kalma Mukti. Just as a person can see even his own death in a dream, so one sees this during the sleep of ignorance. This whole world experience is kind of a long dream. All our experiences are like in a dream experience, dream world. In dream, three things have gone wrong. Your identity, you may be carrying identity even in your dream, but you are not the same. The world of your dream is not the same, not real. Your experiences are not real. But dream becomes a little example, illustration. Exactly the same thing applies. No one knows who am I. In a world presented to every soul through the brain and nervous system, where time goes on moving and things go on changing, so no one knows oneself, the identity. The world is Maya. Your experiences are not reality. This is called long dream. What determines your dreams? What determines these experiences? Your samskaras. Term is karma. But karma has three levels. Samskaras, impressions that are deep in the unconscious. Vasanas, when samskaras become active, like seeds that have started sprouting. Those are called vasanas. And through vasanas, you enter into the world of karma. To give you a more detailed, first samskara, deep impressions in the unconscious. From that, vasana, subtle desires. Vasana term means that which begins to give you a kind of an aroma, fragrance. Vas, through your nose. If you have eaten onion and garlic, vas comes out of your nose. Which is good thing, the suvas. So that vasana, even if you don't know what you are going to do, people around you feel what you are going to do. It's something subtle. That's vasana. So samskara, vasana. The vasana now becomes controller of your vittis. What type of thought wave? Your thought wave is now determined by what type of vasana is hovering over your unconscious. From unconscious, It has emerged and hovering over you. And that allows you to have vrittis, thought waves. And these thought waves, when they mature, they become desire. But between vritti and desire, one little point there, ego, role of ego. Ego led by intellect, called Vijnanamaya Kosha. Ego is always, ego and intellect, they are quite chummy. Best set is when ego obeys the intellect, gives prominence to intellect. But if people who are not advanced, the ego controls the intellect. Ego decides something and intellect has to justify. Otherwise, fire. So, these vrittis that are there, now ego enters in that stage. Either it permits the vritti or it can crush it down. But if ego has its own way, then vritti turns into desire. Just like you have seen a little spark. By little finger you can just crush it. Or you ignore it. Rather you say, it's wonderful, it looks good. Let me see how much better it will be. All these are giving a very lot of illustrations. In brief, led by ego, your vritti, thought waves that are very simple little simmer of wave, now become desire, which puts a fire in your mind. You have to get it. It becomes something of great importance. And as desire continues to persist, dhyayato vishayan punsa, you go on repeating your desire, that becomes your japa. The desire turns into trishna, craving. Led by craving, now you are brought into the state of karma. You will do different types of activities. Led by your craving, you will shout at people, I've been waiting for you, you didn't come. Your craving brings about actions emanating from your thought, word, and your practical activity. All begin to be dominated by your craving. It can be, if it is good type of craving, it's called aspiration. Then that's perfectly good. But what we are dealing with is that movement that causes you bondage. Led by Trishna, karmas. Karmas automatically put you in a mixed state of virtue and vice. You are not 100% good. There's always mixture. And therefore, the result of karma is pleasure and pain. And the experience of pleasure and pain go into samskaras. Something has given you pleasure, it has gone into impression. So therefore you want it again. So it's called chain of the mental process. Samskaras, vasanas, vrittis, kamana or desire, trishna, craving, karma, your activity, thought, word, and action, and karma phala, pleasure and pain. And as a result of this karma phala experience, again samskaras. That defines the world you are experiencing. And it's not the same with everybody. You don't live in the same world. That's a profounder basis. It is the vasanas of the mind that extend themselves in the form of this world, consisting of time, space, and causation. The extension of space, the duration of time, the succession of second, minute, hour, day, week, month, year, age. All this is a projection of vasanas that abide in your mind. And it is your memories are based on your vasanas, what you remember. Millions of lives you have passed through. You don't remember, you don't care. In this life, you have had, again, millions of experiences. Positive, negative, joyous, sorrowful. But a set of memories come and hover over your mind every day. And that set of memories come based on your karmic process. Your karma has, certain karma is operating in a more dynamic way. Karma operates in a very subtle way and operates in a more extensive way. So the basic point, what I'm leading you to understand, that led by your vasana, you experience time, space. Your real experience at your heart level is defined by your karma, not by physical realities. The practical world, physical realities have their own importance. What will happen, where the wind is blowing, how much will be the moisture, what will be the degree of humidity, what will be the beach. I'm joking, but understand all this. You have nothing really to do with it. Who will be you? What will you do? That depends upon your karmic process. If your karmas are wonderful, then you will be dancing while the big rain comes. Karmas are not wonderful, you will be sneezing, even with little rain. I'm joking. The actual experience of time, space is based on your mind. In a happy situation, time flies. In a suspenseful situation, time loses the grip over its bones. Slumps. I'm joking. Ignorance is the cause of egoism, which is the nucleus sustaining the vasanas of the mind. These vasanas bring about projection of the world process in the placid expansion of pure consciousness. When waking consciousness dawns in a person, he becomes detached from his dreams, even though his dreams may seem to continue. In the same way, when one attains intuitional enlightenment, he negates the reality of the world, even though his personality continues to exist in the world. Just to make you understand that you can be dreaming, but at the same time, an inner sense has developed that this is a dream. Once that idea, that sense has come, The dream experience may continue and becomes a sport. In that sport level, if you are kind of a childish mind, you enjoy the dream. Say, let's dream of something else. I become a bird. And let's go to a lake. And in brief, it's called Leela. Dream world continues, and no matter whatever is the content of the dream, pleasant, painful, you are not affected. That is the state of enlightenment. It's quickly said, but the state of enlightenment is reached progressively. As you are spiritually growing with inner strength, same situation that could have been a kind of a calamity. It's not a calamity. Calamity. It's an artistic cartoon. Kala is art. Calamity, artistic expression. Now the role of memory is explained. Things you remember. So much so in a storyline, Brahma is the creator. And the scriptures describe that when Brahma's lifetime terminates, a new Brahma comes who has no connection with all the experience of the previous Brahma. So he continues to create out of what? This description again is not the absolute reality. This is all methods to lead your mind to the highest understanding. Main point that you are being given is that all your memories are illusions. Dreams you have, if you are very clever, you go on writing all your dreams. You have nothing else to do. And go on referring to how many dreams you had. And 10 years ago, what type of dream you were having. That seems ridiculous. But exactly the same way, people hold in their mind so many memories which have no meaning. But because the mind doesn't have the facility, the art, to understand instead of holding on those, bring about a new joy of divine love and let new experiences unfold. Let the blossom come with new petals. Why to hold on to the past? When that type of mind develops, then your inclination is towards recovering who am I. And that movement is called Dhruva Smriti. That memory that is like you are recovering the pole star within yourself. Unshakable revelation. That's real memory. But in order to reach that, in sadhana movement, sumiran, thinking of God, remembering, filling your mind with God's leelas. What did Lord Rama do? What Lakshmana said? What Jesus do? And what type of miracle did he perform? All this, under good guidance, it allows your memory movement be well disciplined, cultured. Sumiran, Smaran, Chintan, Vichar, they all are related. And thereby you are improving the recollection aspect of your mind. When the mind tends to recollect ugly and negative experiences, you let go. Or at least ignore it and keep yourself busy with good things. And that's one thing. Those old memories don't like that, being ignored. They run away. And as you go on doing sadhana, sattvic memories begin to develop. You remember how facing a certain challenge, how a miraculous hand helped you to go over. How you have faced many challenges and what a miracle has happened. And that miraculous source is within me. Raj Yoga puts it in sutra form. Faith, if you continue your faith in the sattvic process, it awakens a strength that is amazing, called virya. Shraddha, virya. Virya, that type of awakening, doesn't allow your mind to bring degraded memories, but profound memory, smriti. Smriti, that is a kind of giving, highlighting who you are, highlighting the strength of the soul. And that type of memory leads you to samadhi. You begin to go beyond your normal range of consciousness. Your mind and senses have created a sphere of experience, and beyond that you don't. But when you have that type of smriti, you are like a bird, begins to fly, not to stay in the egg. That egg-breaking movement is samadhi, shell-breaking movement. And that samadhi leads you to prajna, the highest goal, the revelation, I am that. Leela said, O goddess, your words, like the rays of the morning sun, have revealed to me the glorious heights of wisdom. Please continue to instruct me until I am profoundly established in the self. O Devi, having told that, that's what teacher and student, Devi is teaching. Teaching is given according to the level of the student, aspirant. She asked that, but she is not ready for it. She wants to have more journey, trips, astral trips. So even though she asked it, but immediately she says to the Devi, please lead me to the house of the Brahmin couple in the world of Parvatgram, where I and King Padma existed as Arundhati and Vasishtha. Turning to the story, how when Leela was grieving over soul and its departure from the body, and went to see what the Viduratha was doing, rather Padma was doing, he had become Viduratha. But now that Leela informed, rather Saraswati Devi informed Leela that even this personality of yours has a story. There was a Brahmin Vasishtha. His wife Arundhati but not to confuse with Sage Vasishtha and his wife. Vasishtha Brahmin developed a fascination for royalty. With good karmas, his fascination was fulfilled. But before he could die, Arundhati had developed devotion to Goddess Saraswati and had acquired similar boon, that if my husband dies, let him stay in the same room, same. And it so happened the husband died in course of time. And unlike Leela, she also died due to grief. Their souls continued in the same place, in the room. And in that very place, there opens up the world of Padma and Leela. You are that Arundhati. And death of Vasishtha has happened 16 days back in that world. But during the 16 days, still people are grieving over the death of father and mother. The one who has inherited that is Jyeshta Sharma, her son, dear son. He is alive and is grieving. Only 16 days have passed. But the spirit, led by its karmic process, has gone through 60, 70 years of life. And now he has, to understand that point, your computer system gives you better explanation easily. You create a folder. In the corner of the folder, you created another folder. You create a file. In the corner of that interior folder, you create another folder. A child near you becomes surprised. How can be a little thing like that contain all that? Thousands and millions of words. Exactly, that's the same simile he described with he doesn't understand the word. Human mind tries to understand the word, but doesn't even get insight from the scientific progress. Why always hold on to your mind the reality of time? Even from physical scientific point of view, time is worked out on the basis of sun's movement. And that sun is a little speck of dust in the cosmos. So what time you are talking about? You are experiencing, whatever you are experiencing is projection of mind. And mind is a wave in the ocean of cosmic mind. And cosmic mind essentially is absolute consciousness. Leading that movement opens up, then you are understanding Vedanta, the real purpose of all religions. I am Tatabai. Goddess Saraswati asks Leela to get into meditation and work upon I am not the body. And Leela asks Saraswati, how is it you can do without doing that? But I have to leave the body behind. Goddess Saraswati explains that this insight you have not developed by abhyasa, repeated affirmation. You are still holding on to the concept body is real and I am within the body. So therefore, using that stage of mind, it is the only way you can make any trip of a subtle nature is by leaving your body behind. In my case, there is no body. Just I am. So I don't have to leave my body behind. And I'll hold off on this stage. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.